So, you have been, 6 days straight fishing?
6 days straight, yeah.
My goodness, come in, limping
Limping
in.
yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, so how was it?
Awful in a word.
Well, I was looking at some of the results, and if you had like a 2-pound fish, you won money.
Yeah,
It's it was either 2 pound or 8 pound up and up.
Yeah. It was the fishing was not. Of course, we had east wind the whole time, east wind and north wind. Whether that has a bearing on it or not, I don't know. But the first night or the first morning, well, let's back up to the club.
Now this is the Sealy Big Splash is what it is. So
the club tournament. Let's start.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's go to the club tournament results first.
Yeah, and it was awful also.
Yeah.
I did have 6 fish. They were dinks though, averaged a pound apiece.
Mm-hmm. Dennis had 15 fish. He had a pretty good day.
Dennis,
almost 30 pounds of fish.
Dennis and Alf stumbled into, and I say stumbled into because that's what they said, stumbled into a school of slot fish.
Oh, okay.
And they just whacked them big time.
You know what part of the lake it was in?
Oh, well, it's on section 2.
Section 2, and
that's from Caney Creek, from the mouth of Caney Creek. It includes Caney Creek, Little Caney rather.
Little Caney.
All the way around to 515 West.
Right, so somewhere in here.
Yeah. I went back up in. I fished. I pre-fished over on the Big Caney side. I hit all the creeks.
Now, who was your partner then? Do you remember? I got him. Let me pull him up here. It's all right. I got him here. I think I do.
Tom Whitrock, yeah.
Yeah. So you had him as partner, and you guys were over. Where were you over there?
Well, we fished. I fished. He couldn't pre-fish. And I pre-fished everything on the west side.
So you hit all up and down that side
down there, yeah.
Just trying everything you could.
Thinking I could. Yeah, I stumbled into something.
Now this is on Wednesday or Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday. You're fishing by yourself, man.
Now I caught a lot of small fish. Throwing a drop shot on road beds and stuff. I caught fish. They just weren't
what you needed. Well, you had that front coming in, I guess, from the storm down in South Texas.
That kind of. I think that, and the wind was just whistling. Tuesday and Wednesday, it was blowing out of the east at about 30 miles an hour, so it really limited where you could fish.
Yeah.
And then we launched in the back of Little Caney. And went up and immediately started catching fish, but they were dinks. Could not catch a quality fish.
Yeah.
And that was the story of the day. Of course, Dennis did rather good. Tim Gold, he managed to scrape together a decent stringer of fish. The top 4 were did pretty good.
Yeah.
And then it dropped off rather drastically. Of course, Alf. I've got Alf as a partner coming up this week.
Oh, okay. Now this week, what is this?
This is LFA.
LFA. Okay.
Yeah.
So what section y'all fishing for?
LFA.
Yeah, that's right. It's all over.
It's all over. So and with the weather, we have a weather change coming.
Oh yeah. They pull that up.
My daughter, my oldest daughter, her birthday was last Thursday.
Oh yeah.
And it surprises me every year how accurate it is. But by her birthday, typically, and of course this year we're a week late. But it's amazing that by her birthday, we've usually had 40-degree weather.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I never believe it until it happens, and it's happening. We're not going to get down into 40s this time, but see, 51 degrees is pretty close.
Yeah, it's getting on down there, isn't it?
Yeah, and see, Wednesday it's going to be out of the north at 13. So. And Tuesday, of course, I'm not even going to try to pre-fish Tuesday. But Wednesday we're going to go up see what we can find.
Yeah. So where you know what part you're gonna be at?
Not a clue.
Not a clue.
Not a clue. I'm hoping Alf will have some idea since they found those fish. We can fish that same area.
Yeah.
We'll see. Just see how it works out. So the weather's not conducive this week to having a good day, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And okay, back to Sealy.
Ah, it's a Sealy thing.
Yeah. I went out to where I'd been catching fish during the club tournaments for the past 3 weeks. I started there, and I finally caught one slot fish on the pond. And when I got there, it looked just like it always did. The bottom was just the pond was just full of bait fish.
Yeah.
When I moved at 8 o'clock, I ran the side scan and the sonar over it, and there was not a speck. Where they went, I don't know, but they were gone.
Left.
And I ran it over the bottom out where we'd been catching fish, and there wasn't no fish there.
Yeah.
There were people fishing out there, but they weren't catching anything. So I've tried several other places, and I finally ended up. I had that one nice. I mean, it was a chunk. I thought maybe it'd be an under, but it wasn't. That I caught on the pond, and then caught 1 or 2 little bitty fish, and that was it for the day. And Tuesday, I went over to the 515 West ramp because pre-fishing one of the days I had stopped on an old roadbed in the 515, in the area of the 515
Right.
West ramp. I had sat there and I was just doing some rigging, to be honest about it, and I threw out there and I caught a 15 and a half inch fish. It was a chunk. I thought, boy, this would work. So I went back over there. Friday and got out there at 5 o'clock in the morning, sat there waiting on time to start, and I ended up I caught 5 or 6 fish. One of them was a slot fish, and the others were small. But there's some kind of structure, no, some kind of cover, get the phrase right. And I think what it is part of an old pier that used to be in there. But there's this god-awful chunk of something down there that you can't fish across. I mean, you get hung up every time. I thought it might have some fish on it, but I ended up catching 8 or 10 fish, but none of them were big enough for anything. I did have one that was 15 and a quarter, and I held on to it till I finally quit at 1 o'clock. I had all the heat I wanted, and I waited. It weighed less than 2 pounds, and if it wasn't 2 pounds, there's no point in going in. I'm not one that wants to just run down there so I can get a fish weighed in. Some guys want to just want to weigh a fish.
Weigh one in.
I want to check. I don't go for any other reason. But I released him, and then Sunday, I went into Glade. That was a major mistake.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Glade has not produced doodly squat for me in the past several months, but I went in there thinking that, well, maybe, the water's cooled off a little bit. And I fished around in there for, I guess, about 3 hours. And covered all the spots that, have produced fish historically and never did anything. And finally at 11 o'clock I said, I'm going home.
Yeah.
And I managed, I guess it happened Thursday. Now I wear sunscreen, but I blistered my nose and my lips, and I haven't figured out how. But I discovered something that a mask is good for. I went back to
Covered up your nose.
That's right. I went back to the truck Tuesday because I was there real close to where I'd lost.
Yeah.
And got one of the masks and put it on, and that made all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
People looked at me kind of funny, but I didn't care.
Right.
I was looking for relief. But it was probably the worst Sealy tournament I've ever experienced as far as, catching fish.
Yeah. Well, I saw a picture of the guy that won it, Mark Truly. Did you see? I don't know.
No.
For the guy from Alabama,
Yeah.
and it looked like he must have had really sweated that for about 3 days, because when I saw him, I don't know how he put his shirt on, and it looked like he had missed the buttons, and one side was down, one pocket was down here, and one was up here, and he had these shorts on, looked like he'd been worn for about 3 days straight. He probably was frazzled by the end of that tournament.
I bet he was.
That was pretty good. But,
10 pound even. That's a nice fish.
yes, it was, and come all the way from Alabama to find it, and that's a good deal. I'm glad to see him do that. But,
and once again, it's proven that people are stupid enough to think that a fish will grow a half an inch in a live well for a couple of hours.
oh no!
Oh yeah, I mean, just time and time again, they had people that held fish, and one guy held a fish in the tank for 3 hours, waiting on the right time to weigh it in, and it was short.
Oh no!
I just don't understand why it's so hard to. It's not hard to measure a fish.
No, I mean, they've got that measure stick, and you
got a check it stick.
And
you can find out exactly what the length is on it.
Yeah, save you a ticket too.
That's right, and they don't cut them any slack. They don't. They write them a ticket.
Well, they probably should.
You
should know how long a fish is, be able to measure one. So we had somebody wrote in was wondering how you choose a spot. We talk about going to deeper and what exactly is it that you look for when I'm sure historically as part of it, but there's other things involved in that.
Yeah, of course, the historical is where I've caught fish in the past. But if I'm looking for something new, I look for some kind of cutter, because the lake has gotten to the point that the timber's rotted out of it, the brush piles are rotted down, and when you run the side scan over it, you just get slick bottom most of the time.
Right. Yeah.
But if you can find a brush pile or logs laying on the bottom, and it needs to be on or adjacent to a depth change.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a place where it goes from 8 feet down to 15, 16 feet.
That's a good spot.
It's a good spot. 16 feet, come up to 10 feet and drop back off again.
Yeah.
That's a good spot. And those will be good spots whether they have anything on them or not, because fish will tend to relate to stuff like that. That's the reason road beds are so good. It's a depth change.
Right.
Coming out of deep water up to shallow water. The end of points, just.
Yeah. You start to use that side scan quite a bit now too, and that helps somewhat.
I finally figured out how to identify a fish on side scan, and the thing that was causing me the problem in it, when I say that, you don't get an arc like you do on a regular sonar.
Mm-hmm.
What you'll get is you've got to look at it and look for a little spot that's above the bottom, and you have to kind of add the dimension to it. Sometimes it casts a shadow. That's even better if it's a spot. Now look at there's a shadow.
Yeah.
It'll be on the outside of it. Those are fish. So you can identify pretty well if there are any fish in a particular place. It gives you just a unbelievably good picture of logs and things on the bottom. So you can pick an area to pieces. And I've yet to catch fish at a place that I didn't see fish.
Oh yeah.
So it works that way.
Well, they've got their own comfort zone, and they like being safe, and so they're hiding around structure. And they're also that depth change probably allows them to swoop out there and get them something to eat and come back, and they don't have to spend a lot of effort on it,
I think that's. Yep.
So, anyway, well, this is what we did this week with Sealy, and then what we got coming up next week is the JC Outdoors Fall Teams. Is that the last?
No, that's the new.
That's the new.
That's
okay.
The first one of the new season.
Yeah. And then you got the Billy Dyson Open
Yeah.
out there.
On the 26th.
And this is BassTournamentFinder.com. So
Yeah.
at any rate, I've been looking at. I was going to tell you, I'm looking at doing volume 3, and actually I'm going to try to do all the rest of them too. There's probably of the top. Well, this book here. We came out with 2 volumes of this. Top Secrets of Lake Fork, Volume 1 and 2, and I'm already started on 3. And I'm going to start on 4 and 5 too. I really want to finish all this up. And so in the process, I got to looking at some of the coordinates. And, a lot of people use GPS nowadays, and I'm not sure they all understand that much about it. I'm no expert at it, but I do, as a cartographer, I do know how to use it to my advantage. This is a program here that does conversions. Like if you've got a friend of yours, and I'll pull up an example, I'll try to get a little deal here. A friend of yours comes out here and says, hey, I've got this hot place here on the lake, and here's the coordinates right here, and he gives you 32 degrees, 52.57 minutes, and west 95 degrees, 31.581 minutes. And that's in this number here is minutes decimal. And for you to actually use it in this program up here, you actually have to convert it to a decimal number. That's one of the ways you can do it. And in order to do that, I just thought I'd show you how to do that. This last number, 52.7 minutes, what you do is you take that and divide by 60, and then you take your 32 and put it in front of that. And then the same way over here, you take this number, divide it by 60, and then take your 95 in front of that, and that's going to be a negative number. So this number right here is what that's going to look like in decimal form. Okay? Now what you can do, say we're going to input this number right here, and I've got it right here, and let me put my glasses on, and I'm going to input it just like it was on the screen, 0.87631, comma, minus 95.52635. And what we're doing is we're going to convert that from NAD 27, which is North Atlantic datum, to a WGS 84, which is WGS 84. Let me explain this. It's what Google uses, and it actually fits with all these programs, that allows you to plot things on the screen. So we're going to convert that. And here it is. It pops up right on the lake down here, and you can actually zoom into this thing on this program if I can keep it in the ballpark. Here's that point right there that it plotted. And so it's giving you the output coordinates right here in WGS 84. And so that can maybe helpful to you in some ways or another, but a lot of people probably don't know about that. There's a few people, some of the guides use this thing. This is the website that you can go to use this software. Now there's several of these. There's a GPS visualizer program that's pretty good. Let me see if I've got it up here, and it's very similar to that as well. And this thing will actually allow you to print. You put all these waypoints where you've been, and you can upload your GPS off your, you download it off your GPS and input it into this thing. But it's just another tool that you can use for looking at your spots and seeing where they land on the thing. But it all has to be in WGS 84 for this to work. So there's several different conversions you can make on this thing. That's just a few of them. Like I'll show you the pull down menu is right here. Here's all the different datums that you can use in this program to convert to whatever thing here is. But we used to have to use this down on the coast when we were doing work in some of these chemical plants, and this is typical of some of the stuff we had to do. There is ways that you can take a spreadsheet and do a batch, where it batches it all out, you know, and, but I've not gotten to the point where I needed to do that with this. Is generally I just input the coordinates, and I do have a spreadsheet that I can drop all these in there, and it'll automatically change a lot of that, but then I'll have to drop it in there. But it's just a good tool. If you're not aware of it, it's pretty neat. So, but I know I've seen people give me a coordinate that says this is Bob's hole. I know it, and I won't tell you his name, Mr. Shin, but anyway, he gave it to me, and so I actually had to convert it to find out where it was. So I now know where his hole is, and not that he probably fishes it any, but at any rate, I just thought I'd kind of go over that a little bit and show you that. But hopefully, volume 3 will come out sometime the first part of next year. Bob and I are going to take a month off, and I'm going to try to do a lot of it during that time. And the others will be follow behind that, but I really want to get all that done and then update the map and put there's a lot of new roads and stuff on the map and that sort of stuff. But to get it in some kind of good shape to where when I kick the bucket, it'll still be around. Somebody can use it.
Somebody can pick it up and run with it.
Yeah, so that's kind of the plan. I thought I'd share that with you, but.
Did you see any of the emails about Charlie?
Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie Abresch died.
Oh, no.
Yeah, COVID.
No. From COVID?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I did not.
Thursday.
Oh, I am so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well.
That's your main fishing
It was
partner.
my buddy, yeah, and his wife went to the beauty shop week before last, I guess. I don't know exactly when. And then they got a phone call a couple of days later saying that the stylist had tested positive and that she was sick. And Charlie called me to tell me that she was sick. He was okay at that point. And 2 days later, he called me. He was just sick as a dog.
Oh, no.
They'd already put him in the hospital. Had COVID pneumonia at that point, and he quickly went to a ventilator, and then by Thursday he was gone.
Oh man, I did not see any of that.
It's quite a surprise. You don't expect.
Yeah, I hate that. I really do. And,
I do too. I really liked old Charlie. He was a good partner.
Yeah. Goodness. Well, that's not
gracious,
good at all.
yeah.
Boy, we've been through this, haven't we?
Yeah.
That changes a lot of stuff, doesn't it? But well, okay.
Okay.
Really sorry to hear that.
Yeah.